Hey everyone, Kevin here. If you're self-employed, you're an independent contractor, you're 1099, S-Corp, LLC, you got a sole proprietorship, you got a small business, I don't really care. You're self-employed in one way, shape, or form. I guarantee you are probably frustrated by all these overwhelming programs and acronyms. There's the PPP, and then there's the EIDL, and then there's the Employee Retention Credit, and what about the PUA, and how do these all relate to each other? And one's forgivable, and one's not, one's 30 years, one's, oh my gosh, just make it stop. So stressful and frustrating and annoying. So what have I done? I've put together a spreadsheet for all of us, and I put a step-by-step guide for us together completely for free. We're gonna walk through this in this video. Don't worry, this is not like a setup for some kind of sales pitch on this. No, don't worry. We're gonna walk through this right now, and we're just gonna start doing it now. Quick note, I highly encourage you to watch this entire video because I give you a lot of tips through the entire process. So if at the beginning you're like, oh, Kevin, some of these initial things, they seem like I already know. You really wanna just watch it all because the things I say at the beginning are going to help you when I get to the complicated stuff like the PPP and the EIDL and all that stuff. All right, so here's the scoop. If you are self-employed and you have less than 500 employees, I don't care if you work in a nail salon, you're a realtor, you're a barber, you're an Uber driver, I don't care. If you're self-employed, this is for you, unless you have more than 500 employees, and if that's you, just get out of here, okay? You can donate to the fundraiser, okay? There are hungry children during this pandemic. We are supporting them with these stimulus videos. But in the meantime, you can move on if you have less than 500 employees. So just for fun, I'm gonna write in yes. All right, business name. This is for us to be able to easily copy and paste our data into the application portals in the future. I recommend you go through this with me. You can click on the link down below. You can download this spreadsheet. I also highly recommend that you create a folder on your desktop. And in that folder, put every form that I reference in there. When I say bank statements, when I say tax return, put that in that folder. Very important that those documents are unlocked. If they are password protected, print them and scan them up again if you don't know how to get the password off. Like, do whatever it takes to make sure these forms are not password protected. They are easily labeled 2019 tax return, 2019 this, or whatever. Make your life easy because the easier and more organized you are, the easier you're going to make your lender's life who's approving you for this loan. The last thing you want is somebody open up your tax return and they go, oh, it's locked. Well, let me try calling Kevin. Kevin's recording a video and didn't answer. Well, I'll call him back next week. And oh, darn, all the funds are gone. Make sure everything's perfect up front. Triple check it. A thing that I like to do is I put it all in, I fill all this out, then I go make myself a cup of coffee, and then I drink the coffee for a little bit, and then I reread it. It kind of like resets my vision, my eyes. All right, let's keep moving on here. Business name. Look, if you're self-employed, you're just an employee of yourself. That is, you maybe go work at a salon, you work at, I don't know, Michelle's hair salon, but people call you and you get paid with a 1099. The business is your name. So that would be Kevin Paffrath if I was a hairstylist and I was paid as a 1099. Or if I'm a realtor, well, my business name as a realtor is Kevin Paffrath. Unless, of course, I have an LLC or an S corporation, which I do. And in that case, I would put that name in, which would be the Paffrath organization. Now, this is your business EIN or your taxpayer identification number. If you do not have an EIN, like you don't even know what an EIN or TIN number is, fine. Put in your social security number right here. So whatever your social is, there you go, type it in. If you have an EIN number, it usually looks a lot more like this than a social, which kind of has 2 hyphens. This one usually only has 1. Whatever you have, put it in. All right, annual payroll. This is how you're going to figure out your annual payroll. If you've actually paid payroll, you will have a Form 944 for 2019 if you've already done your 2019 taxes, which generally you will already have this. This 944 tells you how much payroll you've had, and you can go over here and look at wages, tips, and other compensation, take this number, there you go, that's your 2019 payroll, very easy. I also recommend you now save that form you have, label it Paffrath, Form 944, and put it in that folder. Have these nice and clean. If it says scanned 12376, nobody knows what that is. It just slows things down. If you don't have the 944 yet because you haven't done your annual filing for payroll, then you will be asked to provide your 941s, your quarterly tax returns, and then you can generally extrapolate your payroll out over the quarter. Obviously, if you have, let's say, quarter 1, 2, 3, use that data and then make an estimate for your 4th quarter payroll. Now, what if you don't do this? Like you don't have any kind of official payroll? but you do pay yourself. And maybe you have an S corporation. Well, in that case, you want to generally go to your 2019 tax return for your S corporation, which is your Form 1120 or your LLC tax return. And generally, you'll have these boxes that say, here's your income, here are your expenses, and what you're typically looking for, especially if you're the only owner, which I'm assuming if you have an S corporation or LLC, it's probably just a pass-through entity. You're doing it to save on some money on payroll taxes or whatever. Go to your ordinary business income section. That's usually what you're taking as all your income anyway and all your pay anyway. So even though technically you might pay yourself like $40,000 a year, but maybe you made $100,000 a year and now your income's been destroyed because your business is closed, I would put in that my pay is $100K. Now check with your loan officers, okay? I'm not a loan officer. I don't do these things. This is just my recommendation as to what I would do because I own an S corporation. Yeah, most of us who have an S corporation have a smaller payroll than what our actual pay is. That's almost the whole reason for having an S corporation. Anyway, if you don't have an S corporation, you're like, dude, I don't do that, okay? I don't have payroll. I don't have an S corporation. I get paid. I put it into my bank account. And then when I have expenses, I go buy stuff. I buy hairbrushes, I buy signs, whatever I need for my business, I buy. Well, you should, on your 2019 tax return, if you don't have your 19, look at your 2018, you should have a Schedule C, that's profit and loss from business for sole proprietors. And you should have an income and expense section here. And then you will end up finding this net profit or loss. That could be considered your pay. Your annual net profit divided by 12 would be essentially your monthly pay. It's your business, as long as you're the only owner. If you and your wife do it together, maybe you split that 50-50. And if you didn't do any of this and you just started your business in 2019 and you don't have any accounting or any records yet, you're going to have to get your 2019 bank statements and you're gonna take a green highlighter and a yellow highlighter, we'll assume that these are highlighters here, and you're gonna highlight everything that's income in one color and then everything that's an expense highlighted in another color, and then put it onto a spreadsheet, sum it all up, your income and expenses, and there you go. There's your profit and loss. Hopefully you used just one bank account for your business. If you put your bank account, like your business expenses, in the same bank account as your personal income and expenses, then you're gonna have to work really hard with that highlighter. This is why it's very important to have a separate bank account anytime you have a business. Even if you're just a 1099 dude, it costs nothing to have a separate bank account. Okay, back to the spreadsheet in terms of how to put all this together. All right, my annual payroll in 2019. Okay, let's say I paid myself $40,000 and then you know what? I paid my wife $40,000, so I've got $80,000 in payroll. And then you know what? I had an employee, somebody that I actually paid payroll, not 1099 contractors. If I 1099 some advertising dude because he runs some ads for me and I gave him a 1099 along with his bill or his invoice and his pay, I don't get to count him as an employee. He's not an employee. 1099 means you are not an employee. In other words, if you get a 1099, you are self-employed and you go through these steps. All right, so whatever. Let's say I have an actual employee that I payroll, my wife and myself, all together, we have $100,000 of payroll. Perfect. That makes my average monthly payroll $100,000 divided by 12 or $8,333. Now let's say I have additional payroll expenses. The most common additional payroll expense that you have is health insurance premiums. Remember, when you're self-employed, you actually, and you know, always check, confirm these things, but typically self-employed people get the benefit of being able to write off health insurance premiums, which is really cool because like if you go to the doctor and you pay them $100 for a copay, that's not a tax write-off. But if you get yourself like a gold or platinum insurance policy and now all of a sudden your copay is only $10, you can write off your health insurance premiums. This is why a lot of self-employed people have larger health insurance premiums. It's probably going to be the biggest thing that you could put in here. So let's say for 3 employees and your family, your business or whatever, you have $3,000 in additional payroll expenses per month. Now, you could also have things in here like paid leave or sick leave, but you'll actually have to have done those things in 2019. Or for example, maybe you have retirement benefits, like everybody got $5,000 towards their IRA and your company did a 3% match. Well, that would work out to 3% of $15,000, so you'd have an additional $450 of annual expenses, which divided by a month is gonna be somewhere around, I don't know, $40 a month. It's not that much, it's almost not even worth complicating here. So pick some large expenses to put in here because this is only going to matter for 2 months. Then your potential PPP loan is the addition of your average payroll plus these additional payroll expenses times 2.5. That is the maximum forgivable PPP loan that you can get, which is good because this is like free money. This is forgivable. There you go, $28,000 of free money. This is good. It sucks for certain companies who have to fight to hire their employees back because there are headcount restrictions. Like for example, let's say I'm an employee, I'm one. My wife is an employee, number 2, and my third employee, I furloughed him or I laid him off. Now I get the PPP money. If I don't get him to come back to work, that $28,300 will get watered down, generally proportionately by whatever his actual income was. So I might get $28,800, but they might say, well, we're only going to allow you to have $80,000 worth of that forgivable. So in other words, about $4,000 for the PPP loan might not be forgivable, but I might get 28 grand. And if I spend the whole 28 grand, I might end up having to pay 4 grand of that back because I didn't rehire that dude. So that's the only time you really want to be careful with this PPP. I also highly recommend for the PPP, and you'll see why in a moment, you set up a separate bank account. So you have a separate bank account, you get your PPP money, your $28,000, run your business like normal, and then just reimburse yourself the approvable expenses with the PPP. So that way there's zero question about your accounting or whether it's forgivable or not. It makes it very, very easy. All right, how many employees? 3, let's write that down. Great. Now, business rent or mortgage established before Feb 15th. Let's just go ahead and pop in $2,000 here and say no money for mortgage. Then we have business utilities. I don't know, let's go ahead and throw in $1,000. That'll be like business cell phone, business internet, so on and so forth. Then business bank account name and bank account number. If you don't have a business account, then use whatever account you use for your income. So go ahead and throw in here your bank account number, your routing number, and the name of the bank. This is going to be very easy for us to research then or pull up later. We'll have it all handy in one place. This is why just do it as we're going through it. Now, other expenses. Other expenses. These things are like accounts payable, inventory, equipment, other expenses necessary to maintain your business. So if you're like a sign maker and you have to order signs every single month and you consistently have these expenses, you could look at 2019 and prove that you have these expenses, even though they probably won't actually look at them. You want to do the right thing. You want to do the moral and ethically correct thing. Look at what your expenses were last year, divide them by 12 and put them in here. Other necessary expenses. So let's say other necessary expenses were, $10,000 for this 2-month period. So I'll put other expenses for a 2-month period. There we go. All right, now we've got step 1 complete. We have some baseline information here. This is really important. Heads up, this spreadsheet is linked down below. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this what I call a live spreadsheet. This is what I do in my real estate investing course and my property management course as well. Basically, if there's something I want to change to this, I can, as long as you keep clicking that link, you'll actually see the changes update on your end, which is really cool. So I might change notes and stuff, but obviously you could download this. You putting your information on a downloaded version doesn't upload it back to me or something like that. Only my end is live. Like if you download the spreadsheet, you download it, you save it, that's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. Heck, you could just rebuild the spreadsheet if you want. It doesn't matter. You can print it and scan. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do with the spreadsheet, you can. My point is, if you check this link every other day or whatever, any kind of updates or mistakes or whatever that I come across, I will update. So the spreadsheet should perpetually grow as this video ages. And again, you can download it and your information is not going to me. I don't want your information. My cyber insurance policy would skyrocket. All right, step 2, apply for the EIDL. This portal is not yet open. So we're gonna make this red here and say not yet open. But once this portal is open, you are going to apply for the EIDL using this link right here. The EIDL is a loan. You are applying for a loan. I'm gonna show you exactly how that works here. Remember, I said I had 3 employees. That's the same number that I used up here, that 3 employee number. So we've got 3 employees right here. In the streamlined SBA application for the EIDL, you are going to request an advance. It's a box you check. So I'm going to mark that right here. Check the box. You're requesting an advance of up to $10,000. Now, just to make this abundantly clear, when you apply on that COVID website, this is approximately what you're going to see. You're going to have to put in your gross revenues. Just look at your 2019 tax return. What was all the money I received? This is not payroll. This is what was the money I received. All of the income I had. Then you're going to have cost of goods sold. What were all of my expenses? So income minus expenses equals your net income, right? That's what we were using as potentially for payroll. Now, those numbers are your self-certifications. This doesn't have to do with your payroll. Again, it's just your income and your expenses that you're putting in there. What the SBA EIDL loan is trying to do is give you 2 months of working capital. So we don't know this for sure, but the theory is that whatever expenses you put in there, they're going to divide by 12, and that's what they're going to potentially give you as a loan, up to $15,000. So let's say you put expenses in there of $180,000, they divide it by 12, that's $15,000 per month, which means in a 2-month period, you need $30,000 of working capital. But because this program has been so over-requested, they will limit you to a $15,000 loan. Here's how this works in relation to the grant. So I just updated this a little bit. I put in here annual expenses. You could write these in here, $180,000. That means your working capital for 2 months is $30,000. But if it's more than $15,000, your max loan is $15,000 from the EIDL. That might change in the future, but right now the max is $15K. Here's how that works. When you consider the loan, they might offer you a $15,000 loan at some point in the future. A lot of people have already been processed for this, but not as many as you'd think. So it does take time to get processed for these loans. If they offer you the $15,000 loan and you already took the $3,000 advance, here's how that works. The $3,000 advance is money that you should have already gotten deposited into your business banking account. It could take as long as 3 weeks after. Whatever bank account you gave in that earlier step where I told you, hey, list your bank account up here. When you go apply through that SBA portal, they'll ask you for your bank account information. You check the box that you want an advance. In about 3 weeks after you fill that out, you should see that $3,000 advance, $1,000 per employee. Then they're going to offer you a $15,000 loan, which means your max loan is $15,000 in this case. But they already gave you a $3,000 advance, which the advance does not have to be repaid, which means technically the max loan that you can now get is $12,000. If you take the $12,000 loan, you can spend the $12,000, but realize you have to pay that back over 30 years. The interest rate for this is about 3.75% interest approximately, and it's a payback of 30 years. There we go. I noted that on here. You can deny this $12,000 loan. If you deny the $12,000, you can still keep the $3,000. You do not have to repay the $3,000. Okay, so far we've got step 1, filling out this spreadsheet. Step 2 was applying for the EIDL when the portal is open. You wanna have this information ready to go. You wanna think about your annual expenses, have that ready. Then apply for unemployment. Oh, and let me just make this super clear. If you are your own employee, put 1, don't put 0 when it asks you how many employees your business has. The business of Kevin Paffrath, the realtor, has at least 1 employee. His name's Kevin Paffrath, okay? You're gonna kind of try to think of separating your business from yourself for a moment. Even though we feel like our work is our life, we are different from our business. And that's why we are our own slave. All right, step 3, apply for unemployment. Folks, go to your state's unemployment website. You can type in California unemployment insurance, Texas unemployment insurance. What you're looking for is the pandemic unemployment assistance portion as a self-employed person. This means you get $600 per week, and I'm gonna show you in a schedule how this all overlaps during the time your income has been reduced to 0 or partially unemployed. That is partially reduced. So for example, let's say you were working as a realtor and you had 5 deals every month last year, which is great. But then this year, you've only got 2 deals every month during this crisis. Like your income has substantially declined. Apply for unemployment. Apply, apply, apply. When in doubt, apply. If you're asking yourself right now, Kevin, well, what if this is my scenario? Apply. Like the worst that's gonna happen is they're gonna deny you. And then if you say, well, they already denied me, apply again. A lot of states are actually not opening their PUA portal until the end of April. California, for example, does not have this portal open yet until April 28th, which means if you were denied on April 1st or April 5th or April 10th or April 15th, you might want to apply again. In fact, New York says you have to get denied to be able to apply for the pandemic unemployment assistance program. It's a mess. They're way behind. They're way overwhelmed. It sucks. But remember, you get both state unemployment and the pandemic unemployment assistance, which is the $600 per week plus state pay if your income has either partially or fully declined. There we go, I updated this. The text was wrong on this. If your income has partially declined or fully declined, apply. If yes, apply. Remember, you apply for both of these through your state. You could just Google your state name followed by unemployment. And what you're looking for is any reference to the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. Every state is going to have a different process for this. But make sure you state your income because your benefits can actually increase if you have more income than a minimum threshold. For example, California will pay you more money if your income was over $17,500 before this pandemic. Remember, a lot of this is a self-certification, so you might not have to submit all of your documentation and your pay and everything. Obviously, don't lie. You don't want to get audited in the future or something like that, which I don't know if they're going to do. I think they're just so overwhelmed. They're trying to help people get by right now. You know, pretty much everybody's affected by this pandemic. So I don't, my point is just don't lie, do the right thing, tell them what your pay is, and the odds are you'll eventually get approved for this unemployment insurance if your pay has declined or your business income has declined even partially. When in doubt, apply. And if you're thinking, well, wait a minute, how does this work with the PPP and the EIDL? I'm getting to that part. Quick reminder, unemployment pay is taxable. Your stimulus checks, for example, are not, but unemployment income is income. So don't spend all of your unemployment income. Put part of that aside for taxes, unless you're gonna have business losses this year. Obviously, figure that part out yourself. But just remember, unemployment, taxable income. So step 4, do this ASAP. This is like the priority here, okay? The priority, download the spreadsheet, save the spreadsheet, fill out the spreadsheet. Priority number 2, apply for the EIDL when the portal's open. Priority number 3, apply for unemployment. Do that ASAP. It's a quick, easy thing. You should do that like right after you finish watching this video. Then, step 4, apply for the PPP. Have your tax return ready in that folder I told you to have. Have your Form 941, 944 ready. Have your 6 months of bank statements ready, or your entire year if you don't have any of these forms. Have your Schedule C ready if you don't have, like the payroll forms. So this could be including Schedule C or S corporation returns. There we go. Have all this stuff ready. So that when you go through the application process, you're not like, oh, where's that form? Where's that form? Have it all ready. Do this as soon as possible. The application's opened on April 27th again. That's today. So hop to it before it's all gone again. Hurry. Here are some PPP lenders that are currently accepting customers. PayPal to current customers, Intuit QuickBooks for current customers, Square for current customers. Here's some other ones. OnDeck, Funding Circle, Bluevine, Cabbage, Ready Capital, Credibly. I also believe local credit unions are good options for you. I don't want to say apply multiple times, but personally, I'd probably apply 2 to 3 of these, especially if I have all my information in that little folder already. I could bang out these applications probably in 10 minutes a piece. So spend 30 minutes, apply to 3 of them, and see who actually gets back to you. You just don't want to be left out. I know that's like, oh, I mean, you're slowing down these companies or whatever. I don't care. If you need help, apply. Because the last thing you want is to apply at Chase, like I did, and then get an email that goes, yeah, sorry, we gave all the money to other rich entities. Sorry. Like, that sucks. Wish I applied to other places, okay? That's just the name of the game. All right, and I'm gonna show you how this all works together in just a moment. Okay, step number 5. This one's a little bit complicated. If you have ever paid payroll taxes, this could be for you. But first, you have to see if you qualify. Your gross receipts, that is your revenue, your business revenue, must be less than 50% of a comparable quarter in 2019. So for example, if you had gross receipts of $20,000 in the quarter 1 of 2019, and this year in quarter 1, your gross receipts are below $10,000, perfect. You are now eligible to take this credit. And if you're eligible in the second quarter, then do it in the second quarter, whatever, right? This is a good thing if your income is down. If you qualify for this and you have less than 100 employees, if you have more than 100 employees, you could go to the IRS website and get a little bit more detail there. But if you have less than 100 employees, what you can do is you can immediately start reimbursing yourself by reducing the amount of payroll tax deposits you make. If you don't pay yourself a payroll, this does not apply to you, forget about it. But you might consider starting to pay yourself a payroll, like if you're an S corporation or whatever, because here's the cool thing. You get a max credit of up to 50% of the wages you pay, up to $10,000. Now that's complicated. Let me try to simplify this. If you pay wages of $10,000 and your income is less than 50%, like your gross receipts or revenue, that qualifies. So if you qualify and you pay wages of $10,000, you can get a credit of up to 50% of the wages you pay. So if you pay $10,000 or more in wages, then you could get a credit of up to $5,000. If you pay $8,000 in wages, you could get a credit of up to $4,000 in wages. Okay, now you establish how much money you can get as a credit. Write that number down. Like, okay, I get a $4,000 credit. Write that down. Now, you got to figure out how to mine that $4,000 of a credit. They don't make it easy for you. They don't give you a $4,000 check. You got to mine this $4,000. And the way you're going to mine it is by reducing your required deposits for payroll taxes with the IRS. You're probably gonna have your accountant do this, or your tax software like QuickBooks or whatever do that. You can reduce your payroll tax deposits. And you could do this until, it's a complicated one, okay? You could do this until your gross receipts are up to 80% again in the quarter. To claim the credit, stop depositing payroll taxes to the IRS. And again, once you cross 80% of a comparable quarter in income, you no longer qualify at the end of that quarter. So some special requirements there. You could read through this. This is pretty niche. I know not all of you use payroll, but if you use payroll, this is free money. Again, write down, do I qualify? Yes. If I qualify, how much of a credit can I get? Am I gonna pay $10,000 in wages? If I'm going to pay $10,000 in wages, perfect. I get up to $5,000 of a credit. Now I'm going to pay into the payroll tax deposit system $5,000 in less money, which leaves me with $5,000 more in my pocket until my gross receipts are up to 80% again. All right, now we get to the fun part, the sample calendar. So here's how this works. Remember, we've now applied for the PPP, the EIDL. We've taken care of our employee retention credit. We're talking advance, we're talking unemployment insurance. How does this all puzzle together? Here's exactly how all the crap puzzles together on a simple calendar. Here we go. Between February 1st and March 28th, you should be receiving your unemployment pay. And you should also be applying for the PPP and EIDL, that's now. And you can get that all the way through today. You can get your $600 per week or your $167 per week, depends on what state you're in. And this can also vary based on your income. The $167 can be higher based on your income, or it can be a different number based on what state you're in. But the point is, replace this $167 with whatever the number is for your state or whatever you get approved for. So this should really be X, a variable. I'll just leave $167 so we can understand this calendar. You can get this money retroactively. So if you apply now at the beginning of May or end of April and you get approved, you can get retroactive payments. You cannot get more than 13 weeks of unemployment insurance pay, and you cannot get more than 39 weeks of state pay through unemployment. And remember, you can qualify for this if you're partially unemployed, so this is really good. But take a look at this. Once you apply for the PPP and EIDL, and you're gonna get your regular stimulus check, remember, you don't have to repay your stimulus check, even if you don't qualify anymore in 2020, like 2020 ends up being a banner year for you, for some reason, you end the year strong or something, you're not going to have to repay your stimulus check money, which is good. Now, this is where it gets complicated. You could take your unemployment pay for the weeks you were unemployed before you got the PPP and EIDL. This is the complicated part. When you get your PPP approved, you need to stop taking unemployment pay. So you will receive $0. Instead of $600 per week and instead of $167 per week, you're going to receive $0 per week from unemployment. You have to stop your unemployment pay. You can't double dip for those 8 weeks. Remember, the PPP only covers you for 8 weeks. So during this time, you're going to, instead of receiving unemployment pay, you're going to pay yourself payroll using PPP funds. You're also going to pay additional payroll expenses using PPP funds, like that health insurance premium or the matching for your retirement funds. Then, in this darker green color, you're going to pay business rent and mortgage expenses with your PPP funds and business utilities like phones, business phones, like dedicated business phones. Those are business utilities. In addition to this, you can use your employee retention credit to deposit less money to payroll taxes because guess what? You cannot use PPP funds for federal taxes. So it gets complicated. So you really want to separate these things out. But whatever you do, your goal is to maximize the use of your PPP during that 8-week period. Now remember, at the same time, you could use your EIDL advance for anything. I'd probably use that money outside that 8-week PPP period though to keep things very, very clean. Then, after your PPP money is up, your 8 weeks are over, it's very, very important that you immediately request for forgiveness. You get forgiveness. If you are still partially unemployed, get back on unemployment. Even if you're partially still up and running, but your income is reduced, get back on unemployment, which remember, that's the $600 per week plus the $167 as a variable based on your state and your income, which ends at 39 weeks. And yes, you can request retroactive pay. But anyway, request forgiveness. Do not wait on forgiveness. It's very, very important that you request forgiveness immediately. A lot of people are gonna forget, and then a year's gonna go by, and you're gonna go, oh, my payments were deferred, but now I have to start making payments on my PPP. I forgot to request forgiveness. Oh my gosh, it's amortized over a year. That's a big amount of payments really fast. So be very, very careful. Request forgiveness right away. Also, use your EIDL loan. Not the advance. Remember up here, we got a $3,000 advance. You could use that really for whatever you want. You don't have to repay it back. But the $12,000 for working capital that you're getting, that extra loan that you're getting, because you can get a loan of up to $15,000 minus the advance you already got. It's supposed to be up to $2 million, but they're inundated. Maybe that'll open up again in the future. But anyway, you get a loan of $12,000. Use that for working capital. Very, very important that you do not use that EIDL loan for payroll or additional payroll expenses or business rent or mortgage or business utilities during the time you're using the PPP funds. I'd rather see you go through the 8 weeks of PPP and then use your EIDL loan to keep you going after your PPP period. Then, very important, when you get to next year, 2021, and all this crap is behind us, make sure you get your PPP forgiven. You will have to repay anything that is not forgiven within 1 year. It's a very short amortization period, which means you're gonna have some big payments potentially there. So try to get it all forgiven. Very, very important. Have a separate bank account. Keep very good records for the PPP. For the EIDL, obviously keep good records as well, but that is going to turn into a 30-year payoff. Your payments can be deferred for the first year, but this is going to amortize off your $15,000 over 30 years. So your payments are gonna be pretty small on this. The interest rate is low. It's a good loan to take, but there you go. Now, if you've made it this far, it's very, very important that the next thing you do is you deposit $100 with Webull, clicking this link, and you get your 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400 with Webull. It's also a great trading platform, and I wanna see you investing money into the stock market a little bit every red day, okay? Very good for your long-term wealth, and you can buy some real estate and join me in my awesome programs where I go live every day at 9 a.m. to answer your questions on money and finance and real estate and stocks. And also get your life insurance quote by clicking this link right here. And of course, again, use that coupon code to join me in the program's link below. Now remember, this entire spreadsheet will be downloadable for you, so you could use this in your own way. I don't wanna see it, don't send it back to me, but I will update this spreadsheet as more information becomes available. So if you check this link again in 2 days, you might see some of these notes are different, or I may have changed things or added things. I want this spreadsheet to be as functional as possible for as long as possible. So there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed this for self-employed and small businesses. If you did, make sure to subscribe. Join me in the links below. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. And thank you so much for all of your support. We'll see you next time.